All right, here's our next installment of solving multi-step equations. So the style we're talking about now is I have an x over here on the left, I have an x on the right. Remember that your goal is to make sure that you put your x's on one side and your constants on the other. So let's move the negative 4x to the left. When I move the negative 4x to the left, I'm going to do the opposite. The opposite when you're moving left to right like this is either addition or subtraction, one of the two. Okay? Multiplying and dividing is always going to be the last thing that you do when you're solving this type of equation. All right, so over here on the left, I have 3x plus 4x makes 7x. This 7 just drops down. I haven't used it yet. There's my equation wall there. So equal sign. And then I have negative 4x and a positive 4x. Those add up to be 0, so I'm going to go ahead and put my 0 there. Now, most of the time I would tell you, you don't have to worry about the 0, but if there's nothing else on this side of the equation, obviously we need to put the 0. So once I have my letters all on one side, I'm going to go ahead again and I'm going to write it up here just so that you can see this without anything else around it. And I want to solve this equation. So to solve this equation now, it looks like the ones on the previous slide. I want to take my constant, which is positive 7, I want to move it to the right. How do I do that? By doing the opposite. And the opposite is negative 7, subtracting 7. So when I do that, I get 7x. I'm going to bring that down. And that's equal to 0 and a negative 7 make negative 7. Now I have one step left. Obviously, this takes 3 steps versus the previous slide, which only took 2. But that's okay. As long as we can uncover this variable, our last step here is to get rid of the 7 in front of the x, the coefficient. And I do that by doing division. So when I divide that out, I get 1. So that gives me x is equal to a negative divided by a positive is a negative, so I get negative 1. Okay? Last problem of this kind. So the first thing, again, that you want to do, move the letters to one side, the numbers to the other. And I do not care which one you do first. This time, over here we move the variables first. Let's move the number first over here, just for, you know, a difference. So let's move the 24. We're going to move the 24 by doing the opposite, which is addition. So that becomes a 0. This negative 6x comes down. Remember, it's a 0 because any number plus its opposite is 0. So then I have equals, because there's my equal wall. And then I have 2x plus 24. Now, can you really and truly add 2x plus 24? No, because this is a constant, this is a coefficient, and they don't have letters in common, so you can't put them together. So I'm going to write it down. 2x plus 24. And that's okay. But once you move the numbers, now I want to take the 2x and move him over there with the negative 6x. That way they can be together. So I'm going to do that by doing the opposite, which is negative, subtraction. So there we go. I'm going to erase this part just so that you can see. I have a negative 6x and I have a negative 2x. When I have two negatives, what do? You add and take the sign. So that would be negative 8x there is equal to, over here, these x's, remember, any number plus its opposite is 0. And then I bring 24 down into my answer. See? There he is. So then, like this one, I'm down to my last step. Over here I did division with 7. Over here I'm going to do division with negative 8 because that's what I have left. So when I divide, I get x over there on that side because any number divided by itself is 1. 24 divided by negative 8. That would be a 3, and it's negative. All right. So that was the second style of equation for multi-step. Come back in the next video, and we're going to work a new one.